loud and come out. Be loud and come out. Be loud and come out. Oh!
I'm gay!
Yes! She's gay!
Oh my god!
Oh my god, congratulations!
Thank you!
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so much. It wasn't easy, but now that I'm here, it's great.
Like, isn't life so much...
It's so much better!
It's so much better?
I thought I was a demon.
That's... Really?
This whole time, I thought there was I was just gay.
You're...
Can you believe it?
Not just gay, you are wonderfully gay.
Yeah,
the most gay.
And it's fine. It's fine.
It's wonderful.
It's normal. It's super normal.
It's
like,
so
yeah.
normal. Bless you,
Hey.
my queer
thank you.
friend.
Thanks
Bless
so
you.
much.
Bless
Thank
you. The Bible loves you.
I don't know about that, but okay. Sure.
This Bible in my hand.
That one. Yeah.
This one.
Okay. Yeah.
This one.
Yeah.
I, this vessel of God, loves you
Oh,
for
thanks.
being
I love you.
you.
Oh. Do you want to tell him?
God.
There's some other stuff.
Yeah, let's do this. Okay,
hang
yeah.
on.
Okay, God.
I have a couple problems.
God, we have some problems. Number one.
Well, let's start with cancer. Fuck cancer.
That
wasn't part of this until now, but I am really mad about it. Brain aneurysms also fucked up. Don't know why you thought that had to be part of this. Yeah, no, that's it for now. Think about that, and we'll come back. I feel like you have some shit to think about. So.
Thanks, God. Please think about it. I think about those things too. I think, pain doesn't have to be a lesson that we need to learn, that we need to carry forever.
No.
You
don't have to be so fucking hard, and everyone has to just do shit, okay? Like, we all just gotta get through shit. Sometimes it sucks, and it's not fun, and it isn't always nice to everyone. So, stop fucking making everyone feel like they have to do the most to be perfect, or else that's it, because there's so much more. It's so much more complicated than that, and it's not a zero-sum game. And that's my take. God.
God, I've had a lot of doubts about you. She's making a lot of good points.
I just think you fucked up, and I think you need to seriously rethink your whole strategy, and, like, I don't know if you understood the assignment.
He's gonna think about it.
I know. He probably feels really bad.
I think he does.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was like...
But he doesn't need to feel bad, too, because then it perpetuates it, right? Maybe God felt really bad, so he treats us like shit.
So what I am doing... Yeah,
forgiveness?
I'm shaming right now, because that's how I've been treated. So you see what happened? This is what fucking happens!
Shame cycle.
Okay? You started this. How do you feel?
How do you feel?
I think this is productive.
Is it? Jesus Christ!
Hey.
Yeah, this is like a very... Hello, kind souls, and welcome to part 3, our season finale of Easter Movies with Friends. I am your host, Father Karras, aka Andy Greene, and I am joined today by my newly exorcised guest, Alyssa Onofreo.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Of CryptTV. Dear friend, you saw her in Love Witch. I know you saw her. You did.
They definitely did.
I was pointing to you. You
saw. I did see myself.
Yeah. It's important to see yourself, you know?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be like this the
No,
whole
yeah,
time.
you'll have to talk to the camera, but I
will
can see you on there, so it's okay.
Yeah, it is okay. And so, Alyssa, what brings us here today, other than me inviting myself into your life continuously?
We're talking about the Exorcism.
Woo! That's right, the Exorcist.
That's why my face is exorcism-y.
And yes, this is Reagan, our Reagan for this evening. And it's a very important episode for us both. The Exorcist had a profound influence on both of us, and it connects to, I mean, I'm sort of just going to get out of the way and let Alyssa tell us her story. But first, I just want to introduce the movie. The Exorcist is on Netflix, directed by Billy Friedkin, written by William Peter Blatty, based on his own book. He didn't like the movie because it's a little bit, what's the word? Agnostic, or it's not a happy ending. It's not a hopeful ending. It's not very
positive. Was the book more religious?
Yeah, the book is more like a happy ending, like, oh, everything is, like it doesn't have, like, the ending of this has sort of an open-ended thing, or maybe it doesn't portray the church in the best way, which I don't agree with necessarily. I think it's fine. I don't think it shows anyone in any particular negative light. I think it's just, I think maybe because Father Karras we're just gonna go to the end. Like he sacrifices himself to save it, but also in so doing, like, he had to embody the devil.
But that's a very Christ-like journey, is it not?
It's, and that's what I mean. Have you gone on that journey?
Sir.
I've already upset my guest. Sir. That was the right call. So, okay. What
if we don't start there?
We don't want to start on the Christ-like journey.
How much like Christ are you? That wasn't a real question. That was what you sounded like.
Yeah.
So, move along.
Well, as a white dude, I think I'm Christ.
Okay, great.
As you know,
that's good.
we changed what Jesus even looked like to make him look like a white dude with long hair. That's what the white savior complex is. It's been sort of bored into my skull. And I'm exercising that today because, yes, this is Alyssa's story. And Alyssa, please tell us, where did you grow up?
Connecticut.
Where in Connecticut?
In Middlefield, Connecticut. It's a very small town, and it's mostly cows and horses, and then about 3,000 people. And then, so we live on the end of a private road, and we have a couple neighbors, but there's not really a lot of people around. And my high school was very small. My graduating class was about 90 people, down from a couple more because a couple kids died. Yeah, a few people flipped cars over, drug overdosed, and
so it's like so it sounds like you weren't the only kid that didn't know what to do with themselves, perhaps?
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, I don't have any, I'm not still friends with any of my hometown friends, really. There's a couple people that I, like, vaguely keep in touch with just online, but none of my, like, friends from high school, they actually dramatically, like, stopped being my friend, so...
Oh, no.
Yeah, there was one, like, during college, one Christmas break where everyone was home, obviously. I think it was, like, my sophomore year. And my old high school friends had invited out my ex-boyfriend. And then he and I were still friends, so he called me and was like, oh, you should come out. And then one of them took the phone out of his hand and hung up on me.
Whoa.
And was like, don't come. You're not invited. We didn't invite you. We invited him. So I was like, okay, you only knew him because I dated him, but...
Some drama in Connecticut.
Yeah. And unfortunately, everyone knows each other. Everyone knows everyone because there's not that many people.
Yeah, I feel like that's almost a myth of, like, everyone, the, like, town where everyone knows each other is, like, this, like, idealized...
Oh, no,
thing.
Everyone's up each other's butt, and, like, we have a town fair, And my parents are dentists, and there were times where other parents texted my parents to be like, did you know that your kids are buying candy at the derm fair? It's like, are you okay?
What?
Do you have anything else to do? Honest, like, seriously, like, and the answer is no, they don't. So
we have to micromanage our children to make them into the perfect replicas of ourselves.
well, and they
or
have
something.
to be perfect at all times because what's the point?
Imperfection is the mark of the devil.
It's true, yeah, no, and so, I mean, I've got...
Is that where that comes from in some way? Even though that's, like, completely antithetical to everything in the Bible. Like, Jesus, everyone makes mistakes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, Jesus' whole thing was hanging out with all kinds of people that...
Uh-oh.
Okay. Baby!
Is that a cat, or is
Yeah.
that the devil?
Is it baby? No, Jesus hung out with all, like, everybody who was an outcast and that other people rejected, and that was, like, his whole thing. But nobody who's religious today is really about what Jesus was about or, like, what he said. It's all about controlling people and forcing people to live in a level of fear and to just so that you can control them and get them to do what you want, and so that your system, the religion system, can operate.
Hold her tight.
And it's an important distinction that it's sort of the organized religion, not necessarily the faith itself, or...
Right, no,
or any,
if it was just the faith itself, it's like, there's a lot of it that still resonates with me, and, like, Jesus on, like, as a figure, pretty cool. I like him. Wish a lot of other stuff hadn't been attached to that narrative, and, like...
a lot of baggage on Jesus.
Yeah, and a lot of, just guilt and shame and just all of this stuff that isn't actually useful, and it's only useful to... It's not useful to the person, it's useful to the person who has power over that other person, and, like, the powerful person enforces that you need this fear, and otherwise you're not good or you're not going to make it, because they need this, they need that, and they need that whole... But it's all about getting people to believe that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's control, right? And it's also, like, to have this certainty, like, in terms of... Because the world's so uncertain, so scary. I mean, every day gets scarier and scarier, I would say. But, like, the promise of religion is that at the end of the day, heaven's there. Like, you know, or, like, it just sort of gives you certainty about why we're here in some way. I love that. And you know what I also love? I have devil horns.
I was just looking at that too, and then I was like, I hope there's something weird in my mirror, but I think it's just my makeup.
Well, no, like the other way. I thought,
the
maybe...
reflection. No, yeah, I'm like, I hope you can't see all my...
I honestly love the framing, because it's like, okay, it's not subtle. Like, I got devil horns right now. I am the. Well, yeah, because I'm in the organized religious garb right now, and so you were talking about this control and this fear, and it sounded like from personal experience. Like, did you grow up in that?
Oh, yeah, no. So I was raised Roman Catholic. I have two brothers, so all three of us. And we went to CCD, which was, you go after school, at night, you go back to church and you sit in a classroom. And sometimes a priest, sometimes just a parent or some other figure in the church, didn't just talk, like... You just are there for hours talking and just, like, having to do, like, workbooks or just, like, talk about Jesus and talk about sacraments and, And then, church was 7:30 every Sunday at 7:30 in the morning, so wake up super early. And, my brothers and I were all altar servers, so... We're serving Mass most weeks, because no kids want to go to 7:30 Mass, shockingly. So we were there, and so we had to do it. And on Christmas, we still do it.
Still do it when you go home?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming your parents know you don't want to do it.
Well, because we all complain and are very yeah, not stoked on it.
But that doesn't matter. It's like
no,
part of the job.
that's just the way it is.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, all this is so foreign to me, but I'm so fascinated and troubled at the same time.
Yeah.
But like when you were growing up, you believed.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. No, it was what was told to me since I was born. I was baptized as a baby. So you don't have a choice when you're a baby. They dunk you in the water, and then you're baptized. And then you, what's the first one? You do first confession, where you have to tell a priest everything bad that you've ever done as a fourth grader.
Is there someone inside you?
Sometimes.
Who is it?
I don't know.
You're 9 years old when you do that?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I remember wondering if I should tell the priest that I, in kindergarten, stacked up some glass jars, and the teacher said, "Who did this? This is dangerous," and I didn't answer. And I had held on to that for years as a child. And then I didn't confess it. And so then I held on to it for longer, and it compressed and was like, now I'm even more bad for not only having stacked up the jars and then not confess, but that I didn't say that I did it. And so now I'm a person who just does bad things and gets away with them and lies about it. And so that was like my...
You're stacking sins.
Yeah, no, so like as a middle schooler, I was racked with guilt. Honestly, I thought that there was no, like, I was very bad. I disobeyed my parents occasionally. I swore sometimes, and I was like, and I don't want to talk to a priest about this, and so I'm just gonna hang on to most of it and think that I'm bad forever, and can't wait to burn in hell for it.
and you're saying that with a laugh now, but like Did you believe
Oh,
that?
yeah. No, I thought I was going to die. And, yeah, I thought I was... Yeah, no, the only way for me to, like, process and I need to laugh about it now, because it's so insane. The place that I was in, like, through college, I would, like, that stuff stuck... Like, I was going to church in college, so it's like, that stuff fucking stuck with me. And, like, stuff from when I was a kid that I was like, I'm going to hell for this. And, like, my church didn't I don't remember them specifically saying stuff about, like, gay people, but obviously, like, before gay marriage was legalized, and, like, we grew up during this time that gay marriage has been legalized, and it's so much more normalized, even though it's still, like, people are weird about it, but, like, I feel like younger people don't understand, like, what it was like before gay people could get married, but it was like fucking, like, it was not okay. You could, like, it was, most people didn't ever talk about it. And so to not be introduced into, be in an environment where, like, no one talked about gayness ever, didn't even know it was a possibility. I, like, didn't know the word lesbian. Someone called me a lesbian in 5th grade before I ever had heard the word, knew what it meant, and so it was so very confusing. I'm like, oh no, am I a lesbian? Like, I think people don't like those. I think that's bad.
Right, and then that's the shame.
Yeah, and I was just playing with some girls, but now I'm a lesbian. And I remember distinctly when I was in college in church, and the priest said something about gay people, and I was, at that point, I had already, like, started kissing girls. I didn't identify as bisexual until after college, but, like, I knew that I was interested in women, and I knew that I supported other gay people. I wasn't, like, out myself, but I was very, like, pro-LGBT, and I just remember the priest saying something that rubbed me the wrong way, and I was like, you know what? I don't need this. And it was because he was saying something about other people that I supported, and that I was like, there's no reason for him to say that you can't be that, or that there's not a place for you. That doesn't make sense to me, and I don't. So that was the moment where I was like, I gotta go.
So how old were you in that moment? Do you remember?
I think I was a junior in college, so...
1920?
Yeah, so I was, 22 maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And I mean, and I know, like, I grew up at the same time, and even, you know, maybe in the suburbs, like, of Seattle would seem like that would be a more loose, open culture. But I mean, for me, it was like someone who was queer. There was like one person in every like school or class or something.
Oh, yeah,
it was
no, it
very
was like
obvious, but it was like, oh, that's the gay guy.
That's the gay guy. No,
Right.
exactly. We had one gay guy, and then there were some big girls with dyed hair that everyone called a dyke, and like.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, the homophobia was way worse too, and like our version for men was if you're ever kind or emotional, you're gay.
Yeah.
And again, yeah, it's teaching that that's bad, even though most of the kids that are doing it have no idea what they're even saying, especially in fourth grade. Like,
no, you absolutely don't know. It's just whatever you've heard, whatever you learn so much by example at that point. So it's like whatever you see that seems cool to you at that time, you're like, oh, I'm going to be that. I'm going to do that. Or you saw something that had an effect that you liked, and you're like, no, I'm going to go do. Like that person had power over that person when they said that. So now I want to have that over this person. So I'm going to do that to them.
Right. You like know that word works.
Oh,
in
yeah,
some
yeah,
way.
exactly.
Like, if I'm scared or if I need to defend myself, now I can be the bad guy, but, like, at least I'm, like, they're
Right.
off me.
Right, yeah.
And also, like, I just remember in TV and movies, there just was no representation at all, really. Like, I'm
don't
blanking
remember.
on the first, like, I just don't know. And I mean, that's kind of a field of what, like, I mean, we're talking about The Exorcist and all these things, but I think that's representative of where you were, and there was, like, just not... You's around, and now look at you.
And now look at me, I'm all exercised.
Of our Lord Jesus Christ, who lives and reigns with the Father and the Holy Spirit. Damien!
Well, and you're
We
just
can be spooky, baby.
yay, we can be whoever we want to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's what like I've said this like off camera, but that's sort of what drew me to you. Like, we went to the same college, we didn't know each other, but I was like, you really know who you are now, and that's like just cool.
It made me very glad to hear that, because I still feel like I'm just fumbling around and.
Well, yeah, we're all doing that, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You're doing a good job of fumbling.
Thanks.
Yeah. And yeah, I have my moments. We'll see. But so you were sort of. Did you, when you quit the church at, like, you said 22, did you stop believing in that moment, or you were just like, I'm done with going?
I'm done with going. At that point, I was like, I'm done with going, and if I'm gonna, I still identified as Catholic at that time, but I was like, I would prefer to do this my own way and not waste my time and my energy every week at church, where I feel like it was actively doing harm to me at that point. It was not helping me, and I was like, every time I went there, I felt bad, and I was like, I'm not gonna go somewhere that makes me feel bad for an hour or more every week. That's just, I was too depressed at that point, and by that point, I had experienced sexual assault, and I had never had sex before, so that was losing my virginity, and so, like, that was, like, a big, like, break for me, like, mentally. It was just a huge break, and it just I couldn't make it make sense with anything that I've been raised with, and I was like, I can't tell anyone about this because they'll think it's my fault, and they think that I brought it on myself or whatever. So yeah, I didn't ask for help from anybody. I didn't tell anybody at all that it happened, because I just felt so guilty and shameful, and it's because I had been raised that, like, if you have sex before you get married, that's it. You're a slut, and you're damned to hell. Sorry, you failed. You failed the one thing, and it's like that had really been drilled into me, and there are a lot of like just moments growing up where it was like, if you I like emotionally got the shit kicked out of me for like crossing lines with boyfriends, and like thinking that, like, or just like having relationships when I was in high school, and like, so it was like, just like I like kissing a boy in an inappropriate time, like, having been, like, that, the way that I was yelled at because of that, it was like, oh, that wasn't even the thing. Now you have done the thing that it says in the book. You're not supposed to do that. So, I couldn't, I literally thought that, like, any second, I'll just die, because...
Like, you'll fire and brimstone, like...
I'm just lightning, yeah, you're done.
Oh my god.
Or I get, like, I'd be like, maybe he'll send a car to hit me or something.
Well, but even those thoughts could then lead you to walking in front of a car, right?
Yeah, no, and I was very reckless with myself at the time. Yeah, I wasn't even being careful, because I was like, I don't care if I die, because I already fucked up the whole thing, and, like, I did the one thing you're not supposed to do, and then, so I was like, I'm fucked. Who cares?
Oh, man. And it wasn't, well, and I just sort of, like, want to slow down and just be like, thank you for sharing, and I'm also so sorry that happened, and that's where your headspace is, and that, like, yeah, basically, I mean, I just...
It's okay.
No, I mean, it's not okay.
No, it's not.
But it's also just, like, I mean, I can't think of a worse thing, like, for someone that basically... It was the perfect storm for the you that you were, because, and I'm trying not to, like, explain or re-say the scenario, but I'm just sort of trying to wrap my head around it too, of being like, you're a virgin, you believe, you get sexually assaulted, and now the one, it's just, it's... I couldn't make the sheet balance. I just couldn't fucking figure it out. I'm like, there's a huge deficit here, and I don't know where it comes out of. I don't know. And the deficit you were taught is that it's your fault.
It's and so I had a crush on a girl in high school, and she had a crush on me, and she tried to kiss me, and I rejected her, and that relationship made me sad the rest of my life, pretty much. I felt like now knowing, I was like, oh, I could have, because I loved her, we could have kissed, but something told me, you're not allowed, and you're gonna go to hell if you do this. And so, like, I had rejected, a gay youth in favor of this pureness that just, like, compacted all of this fear and all this guilt and shame, and just, like, cut it into a fucking diamond, and then I get raped, and it's just like just diamond into the knife into the heart. It's like,
yeah, you were doing everything right.
I thought, and then I still was led astray.
You were not led astray. But well, and it's just like, it's sort of, we get taught, and I'm saying we because I think everyone gets taught to not trust themselves. And so, like, literally when someone you love is trying to kiss you, I'm assuming, how often did you think about that moment? How often do you think about that moment?
Most days, honestly.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, colored with regret, I'm assuming, but also, like, shame, and that you...
Yeah, well, it was because it really hurt her feelings, and so much of my high school experience is colored by this, because my first boyfriend broke up with me because I didn't want to kiss him as much as he wanted to kiss, and then this girl tried to kiss me, and I said no, and then those two got together. So after I rejected her, she got with the first guy I ever dated, and they were like, blah, like all over each other. And so it was like, every day I felt like I did everything wrong, and it was thrown in my face, and like I just felt like such a loser, and yeah, it felt very bad. and she did not hold back on being like, you hurt my feelings, and like, well, and then I tried to like still be friends with her, and like, I clearly had a crush on her, so I was like trying to like cozy up to her, and she was like, "This, you can't do this because you're saying you're not gay, so you can't act gay."
I mean, but like...
Because I'm attracted to you, so, like, I'm gonna do something about it, was what she was saying. But, yeah.
I mean, basically very confusing. I mean, I think just being, how old are you? 15, 16, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's just confusing in
Yeah,
general.
no. Oh, yeah, so I do not blame her for, like, any, it's just, like...
Oh, I wasn't, that's not how I was
just
framing it. I was just, like, the confusion, just a baseline of 16-year-olds is, like, up here.
Oh, yeah, no,
and then
yeah.
you're, like, just on this other plane because basically, you know, like, the feelings you're having have been... They're blotted out. They're not supposed to be seen, heard, talked about. And, like, what if... Did you ever feel like your parents thought that of you, too? Or
Thought what?
Like, thought, like, oh, she likes girls.
They were... Well, because I would have this girl come... She would come over and hang out with me, and we would go to... I would have my other friends over, and we'd all, like, get dressed for dances together, so she would be part of it. And she'd, like, clearly dress differently than the rest of the group, so she stuck out. And the thing I remember my parents always saying was, like, they didn't, like, they were, like, something about being gay, and they're like, not that there's anything wrong with that. And, like, that was the, not that there's anything wrong with that.
Classic.
Yeah. Because they never asked or said, but whenever it was mentioned or it came up that other people were, not that there's anything wrong with that.
Like, probably, like, record speed having to say, like, that to cover their ass in some way. Like,
yeah.
Like, oh, you know, like,
Yeah.
you don't...
Yeah.
You don't need
well,
to
it's like,
do
I
that.
don't like the way... She's like, her outfit's really ugly, but not that there's anything wrong with it.
And her outfit was just different.
It was like
Or was it
Hot
ugly?
Topic. It was,
Okay.
I mean, if I would... It was not a good outfit. No, it was not good.
It hasn't aged well.
No. But it was like very like Hot Topic gay girl of the 2000s. Like, nothing was good in the 2000s. Like...
Right, and there was like two options of what to wear that you could
yeah.
actually go to the mall or like whatever in Connecticut. How many stores
Yeah,
could you
no,
go to
literally,
get something?
yeah, like 3. Yeah.
Three stores. Well, how did, like, were your brothers and you on the same page on sort of all this? Like, were they have the same journey in terms of like believing the sort of the same time
Dude,
frame?
we have not talked about it.
Oh.
We've not talked about it. No. All of us really don't want to altar serve at Christmas, and, like, that's the most that it is discussed.
But, like, given that it's not discussed, it feels like probably everyone's had trauma associated with it. Is that's the assumption?
Yeah.
What's the fear in talking about it, if you don't mind me asking?
I just don't want to...
You just don't want to open that.
Yeah, well, I know that how bad it was for me, and, like, if it was as bad or other... It's, like... I don't know. I would be very upset. So it's just, like, a very upsetting topic to, like, get. It's like, I really hope that nothing as horrible happened to either of them, or that it's... And I feel bad not being a supportive sister to them, and, you know... But it's like, I barely made it through this, and, like, if we cracked it open with you, and, like, I just don't know what I would even do. I don't know.
And it might open the stuff up. But, like, I mean, here you are, like, opening this up with me. Thank you.
Yeah.
What is it like talking to a priest and trying to confess to, like, I'm assuming it's an old dude, right?
Yeah. And it's horrifying. It's very, just like, you don't know them well, so it's a strange older man. You're not a strange, but it's like you've seen him before, but it's like you don't talk.
Well, it's like you're not friends or
No,
you're not.
you're not. Yeah, you don't interact enough for it to be comfortable in any way. And so you feel like you're revealing these very intimate details of your life to someone who hardly... And, like, of course, they say, you know, this is... You don't tell anybody. That's the whole point of it. But... when the priest comes over for dinner with your parents regularly and everybody hangs out, it's like, I know he's not supposed to say something, but maybe he would. But who knows? So it was like, I never wanted to say something that could be repeated to my parents, and because honestly, it was like, my parents' punishment was the biggest fear more than anything.
I was going to ask you if there were moments that you remember where church praying gave you comfort, or when it helped. Do you remember those times, or was it sort of always this, like, burden?
Well, we would do during Lent. We would do fish dinners. So the whole church, like everyone would get together in the church basement, and like my mom and my brothers and I, we'd all help cook. So like those were some of the nicer times, but like being in the church and in the environment and around people who were just like really into it, it was just very stressful. And like mostly like all of it, I was just trying to avoid. I didn't want to talk to anybody. It was like I don't want to have a conversation with you. I don't want to open up anything that you could possibly then relay to my parents, because I felt like everyone was trying to like figure out, they're like trying to get you for something, and or that's how I felt anyway.
I don't think it's inaccurate.
Yeah.
Right? And one, it's also like, isn't that how the world sort of seems like nowadays?
Yes. Is everyone's trying to be the one who gets you.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I think I qualify myself every time I talk, all the time. I'm so afraid to hurt someone's feelings. I'm so afraid to say it wrong. I don't know what I'm saying when I start, but I just like, I catch it even in therapy, even with my partner, with everybody, because I just don't trust. Like, you don't get the opportunity with most people to explain, or it's like, you don't want to make a mistake.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
like the worst thing in the world. And now that we have like the cancel culture, and I totally understand why you like sort of was like, this is the barrier in terms of like, I don't want to go too far with my parents or whatever it is. Totally understand. And it's like, we have this, it goes beyond religion, but I think that's where it came from, right? Of this like, we need to punish people when they make a mistake. They are wrong, and if they don't know they are wrong, that somehow, like, they're going to do it again.
Then they're going to do it again.
But also, I think it's more the perverse pleasure that we get in being like, wrong. You know, like, ooh, in this moment, I know that I am better than Alyssa.
Yeah.
Thank
I'm
God.
most right, and like, I get to have this. And
I was talking to my decision coach, Kirsten. Hi, Kirsten. And she was talking about like what really sunk in, you know, a lot. She would have like bickering with her husband about like being right and wrong, classic things. And her therapist was like, what if you're both right and wrong? Like what, like it's just, what if there isn't this binary of what that is? And it's just sort of, and it's not static. It's just always changing. You can both be right. You can both be wrong. And you will continuously be that forever. And she also then conflated that to success and failure, which is what I'm always worried about. And why me sitting here is just like a miracle to me, because it took 30 years to just feel like I was comfortable enough to like show half of my torso on a phone, which sounds ridiculous, but it's true. And I didn't even have the, like, I was gonna say excuse of like repression in the church, but it's just pervasive beyond that. You're like, the church is just the most obvious of it. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just upset.
now we're just upset.
It's the power. Holy water.
Let's talk about a little bit about The Exorcist to wind down here. And I wanted to, like, because I asked you, I was like, when I found out that your upbringing, I was like, oh, I really want to talk to you because I just don't have that frame of reference. I think that's important to talk about around Easter rather than talk about bunnies and eggs and just resurrection. You know, I didn't want to talk about 10 Commandments. Fuck it, right? So, but I was like, any movie that has anything to do with religion or Easter, whatever, and you picked The Exorcist, and this is probably what I should have started the conversation with, but I want to ask, like, why was that the one for you that you wanted to talk
This
about?
was my mom told me this was the movie that scared her the most growing up. And I didn't like horror movies growing up. I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre in my freshman year of high school at a boy-girl sleepover. And it was very traumatizing, and I never wanted to see another horror movie again.
That at a boy-girl sleepover is also traumatizing, like...
Oh, no, yeah, there was a lot going on. Yeah.
And that movie, yeah.
No, it was horrible. It was really... So, yeah, there was... fun little... Yeah, so my first boyfriend, that was when we got together, we kissed at this party. Or he kissed me at this party. And then as Texas Chainsaw was on, then the whole part, like, it was our show choir. Everyone stopped watching, and they were just looking at us, and so they're, like, standing over us, like, kissing. And it was, like, my first kiss ever. So I feel like all of this is all wrapped up together of just, like, some real baggage.
And we're getting it out there. You know?
crack this open.
Yeah,
Oh
in
my
the case,
God.
I'm Jerry Springer on Game Show Network. Baggage, great TV show, by the way. It's incredible.
But, yeah, so I avoided horror for a long time, and then I saw The Shining in college, and it just really brought me back in. And so I started...
How old were you when you watched it?
I was a freshman, or maybe freshman or sophomore in college by then. But so it was like many years later before I was ready to return. And then still many after that. It wasn't until, 2014, I think, I started watching more horror. I saw Aliens for the first time. I saw The Thing for the first time. And those just like blew my mind of what was possible in horror movies, and then I was obsessed, and then a couple years later I was working for Crypt. But yeah, I picked The Exorcist because my mom said that this scared her more than anything growing up, and so one of the reasons I consume horror and consume true crime content is to see how people react to fear and like the most traumatic and the most horrible situations. What are people's reactions? How do they handle it? Do they survive? Do they come out of it? So I really wanted to understand what scared my mom, like what she was afraid of in this movie, because there are moments like I didn't sit down and be like, oh, this movie's so scary, but it's like it gets in your head, and thinking about what year did this movie come out?
1974, I want to say.
70.
Fuck. Well, Chiron will correct me. Good old Chiron.
Okay. So my mom was probably a teenager when this came out.
Ooh.
She was not Roman Catholic. She was Protestant.
1978.
Okay. So she was 18, I think. But yeah, I could totally see, like, I really love film history, and just like, yeah, I really like knowing the years and like the context of like other stuff that was happening and like what this movie came out into, basically. And I think that there's so much of it that it was rated X when it came out, so it was like you couldn't see this movie in a theater mostly. And did they change the rating to get it?
I think they did. They actually like Friedkin's like told the story multiple times where he really just had to go to the ratings board, and like he basically poured his soul, and that it was like, this is important to be seen, and it's not. And I think they had to change a little bit of things, but not any of the stuff that were really important to what it was. And it was actually one of the few times where I was like, oh, the ratings board sound actually like, they sounded reasonable in that scenario, and they actually were like, oh yeah, you're right. This is not like, X isn't, it's misused in this scenario.
Yeah.
It's just, it's mostly just because we had never seen movies. It was like that and Rosemary's Baby sort of changed the game for horror. And so like, and for me, I mean, I think I saw it when I was like 13, 14. And for me, it was this traumatic experience that's tied up in sort of losing a best friend, kind of. But like, like my best friend had moved away when I was like younger, but like 15 minutes away. But like when you're a kid, that's like so far. And he invited me to go for like I think a sleepover, or just to like hang out at his house to watch a movie. And I don't know if it was The Exorcist or not, like if I knew going in, because I was not a horror kid except for Universal Monsters. But to me, that was just fun. Like there was, watching Wolfman with my dad and Frankenstein, stuff like that. But I go there, and it's my least favorite scenario, where I'm going expecting it just to be John and me, and it's his cousins and friends and people that I don't know, and I'm just like, oh, and I'm a shy, introverted kid. And so this was, and then we were gonna put on The Exorcist.
Oh my God.
But it was in some way, I think, like I feel like we were all shit scared, like all out of our mind. None of us were ready for this movie. It felt like one of those things where kids just like, you sort of dare each other into doing it. No one actually wants to do it, but no one wants to say, no, we're not ready to do this.
Yeah.
But I think I did the Chandler thing of like making jokes throughout the entire movie to be okay. And also I could tell that actually was needed for everybody, I think. So it was like this nice thing. And I also like sort of found out, oh, that's me in some way. But also like, I don't remember ever seeing those people again, and it did like stick with me of like. I mean, I think I was proud of myself, like, oh, I watched The Exorcist, but I know I was like having to make jokes to like not deal with what was on screen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, particularly like I think all the stuff of when she's stabbing herself and being sexual, that's the stuff to me when I'm 14, I mean when I'm 33, it's fucking disturbing.
No, yeah, no, it's we were talking because we watched it together. All of the like medical stuff was very like I still can't handle that stuff, but yeah, there's a lot of very extreme stuff in this movie, and the language, like they say fuck all the time, and I feel like that's pretty uncommon. And like even there's a lot of stuff in that movie that like I don't think movies today do.
And I think they should again. You know, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, it's just like it's just so much. It's just so much, and it's doing a lot, and it's not apologizing for that or like worried that people are gonna, because it's like the whole point is that it's too much. It's fucking scary. It's horrifying. You're supposed to be disgusted and horrified and shocked. And
maybe mad, like
and
the
maybe
mom,
mad,
right? Like,
yeah. No,
the mom is us, I think, right? And we're just like, fucking fix my daughter!
Yeah, what is going on? And I think that there's something now where it's like, people know what an effect things can have, and so they're like trying to control the effect that entertainment and movies have. And it's like, I don't think that we have that kind of control, and I think that that's what is like smoothing too many edges off. It's like we're trying so hard to not affect anybody in a certain way that then it's not saying anything, and you're just
that feels like the same thing about making a mistake in a way. It's sort of like we don't want to go too far or say something maybe wrong, whatever right or wrong even means. But like, yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to, if I cut you off or
no,
yeah.
you're good, yeah.
Because I think that's the same instinct. And also it feels like CGI in a way is sort of that smoothing out too. Because what practical effects, like I know it's not real, but it's scarier, you know, because it's not, I can see what real life murder looks like a lot easier than like whatever, like The Thing is one of my favorite movies because of how fucking batshit crazy the effects are. And to me, like I can't imagine that because I'd never seen it before. That's scarier than like, oh, yeah, okay, that monster kind of looks like something that I've seen, or right, it's just like.
Well, the problem with CGI is when you have people reacting to nothing, you can tell it's bad acting. It's just that's not how people are meant to act, and so it takes you out of the moment as a viewer. And then a lot of the time, people are doing CGI effects because they're like, oh, we'll fix it in post, and they're like, we don't want to figure this out on set, and so we'll just figure it out later. And 99% of the time, they don't really figure it out later, or they assume that there's some magical way to do it, and it's like, sorry, if you want to have vines going, you're gonna have to paint individual little things, so like it's gonna look shitty unless you spend an extremely long time doing it. So do you want to do that, or do you want to spend a couple hours on set?
Why didn't you tell me this earlier?
This isn't personal.
Alyssa, we need to make the vines work. Oh no. Well, you have a couple hours, we can paint those vines.
Yeah, no.
But I also think it's like you sort of lose the magic of discovery in the moment too, of like, okay, we have to figure out how to make this transformation look real with the amount of money that we have, the amount of effects that we have, and sort of like the computer is an easier way to do it. And it's not always bad, but it's just like, or the wrong...
If you thought about it ahead of time, you're like, this is the computer is the best way to do this, and then it works out. But if people are like, oh, I'm just going to use the computer to cover up having not figured it out, it doesn't work, because you just haven't figured it out, and everyone sees that. It's so obvious.
Right, it's sort of a crutch.
Yeah.
So you said something about like there's a lot of swearing in this movie, and particularly the mom, who I'm blanking on her name, like the character name, but she swears like all the time, and particularly is sort of taking the Lord's name in vain often. She's like, Jesus Christ, and like, God damn it, and like, so whenever she's angry at what is happening, she is, I mean, blaspheming basically. And I mean, I think that's obviously very intentional, but to me, her anger just like, well, her anger in her situation is like basically being helpless as a parent.
Mm-hmm.
But this movie to me is maybe more about like, I mean, it's like they moved because of like divorce, right? It's a broken family, you know, and there's tabloids, and she's like maybe lying to her daughter about an affair with like creepy drunk director dude, who he reminded me of. Who's the director of Rosemary's Baby?
Oh, Roman Polanski.
Yeah, and like, I looked the actor up who plays Burke Dennings, and he was in Roman Polanski movies, so I was like, that's weird. And but he has this, and I was going to ask you if you thought, because they said Burke Dennings is like the director of Crash Course, the film that they're shooting in D.C., and he gets killed by Reagan, we find out, but he's like left alone with Reagan, a 12-year-old girl, in a room. And I was wondering if, like, you read that as there was maybe sexual assault in there. Yeah,
I read that as something weird happened, or like he shouldn't have been there, and like the housekeeper, right?
Yeah,
is the
yeah,
one who,
like one of the lady, like the
She like allows him to be alone with her, and then the mom's like, "Oh my God, no!" And I wonder if there's something to her denying their relationship because like she knows he's not a good guy, and she's like, maybe I'm seeing him to take care of my needs right now, but like he's not your he will not be your father, and like I will not introduce him to you as a father figure because he's fulfilling a purpose for me right now. And so I thought it was interesting, that she was so upset, because I feel like she knows that he gets wildly drunk, so it's like he's not a totally responsible person, and she clearly doesn't want him around her daughter.
Well, she shouldn't invite her to the fucking party at the apartment that she's living at with her daughter. But yeah, because I mean, we know that this guy is not to be trusted is when he just accosts poor Carl, the sort of cleaner, the butler, because he's German.
Yeah.
And he must be a Nazi. And like, it was so over the top that it was like, I don't think Carl was. I don't think, whatever. But it's also obviously much closer to World War II. And Burke Dennings is Jewish and has trauma himself, right? Mm-hmm. That's why he's drunk like crazy, I'm assuming. Mm-hmm. But it was just, and that's what this movie is. It's like the trauma just keeps coming back. Sure, she's exorcised at the end. She doesn't remember anything, but bullshit. Like, she's now repressed it. That's what it is, and that's what we do.
That's the whole thing. Yeah.
And we're passing it on to other people.
As long as it's not on me right now.
yeah, and have you carry that pain.
Yeah.
Because I did it.
I did it already. I've been through it, and now so it's someone else's turn.
And let's not talk about it.
Yeah.
Because it's too. Yeah, I don't know. Fuck you. Right? Yeah. Shit. I don't know. Like, I mean, there's a lot in the movie. I was going to say I had one other family anecdote. It's my partner's family. Religious family in Mexico. Her uncle went to see the movie, was terrified and actually left. Blacked out and woke up in front of his apartment. Like, he doesn't remember getting to his house. So he, like, basically, it's so profoundly fucked with his brain that he blacked out.
That's so spooky.
And that he, like, yeah, it is spooky. And that's, I think, the kind of reaction that people had in the 70s when this movie. Because we've never been provoked in this way. And it still has that, like, insidious, like, I don't know.
It's just still very provocative, I think, today. Even though it's not, like, scary, it is still, like, pushing the envelope in a lot of ways that films today are not. Like, I didn't pick the Conjuring movies, for example. It's like those I enjoy those, but they're not like, and like The Nun is a more recent example of a successful movie, but it does not get to my core still the way The Exorcist does. I
think it's like those are the scary. It's like, it's easier to get the scary out of us, I think, in some ways, but those don't linger. The Exorcist lingers because it's just a little bit, well, I was going to say weirder, a little bit under the surface. It's excavating, literally, like, getting Pazuzu, but it's also, like, sort of, like, getting under your skin. And the images in it are far more memorable, I think, than most. Like, it's really hard to get that stuff out of your head, and you don't want to watch it, but, like, I couldn't not watch it when I'm seeing it. It's just like, oh no, she's about to stab herself in the no-no place.
It's so extreme. It's so extreme.
And then she's like, moves the guy to there, blood everywhere, and it's just like...
It's so much.
I don't know how she's okay down there.
She's not.
She's not okay down there.
She's not.
None of us are okay down there.
Lift me! Lift me!
But Alyssa, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I've been doing this in conjunction with a fundraiser for the Trevor Project. As always, they are a wonderful nonprofit dedicated to helping LGBTQ plus youth with suicide prevention and just mental health, doing what I wish the government would do. So, happy Easter, everyone. This is coming out on Easter Sunday. I hope you found all your eggs, but, you know...
Give me some of those eggs. Give me those jelly beans.
You want some jelly beans? Is
that
your...
I love Starburst jelly beans. That's my favorite Easter candy.
I will get you some Starburst... Oh?
Starburst jelly beans and the Cadbury eggs.
Oh!
Little milk chocolate eggs. Oh my god, that's so great.
Just the creamy...
Yeah. Oh, and the Cadbury eggs with the cream and the
that was the one
side.
that I liked.
Yeah,
the Cadbury cream.
But the mini eggs also. The chocolate ones.
Oh, just the little
crunchy shell ones, yeah.
You know what? I went three episodes without doing any of that because, you know what? I wanted to be different. But now I wish I had fucking Cadbury cream.
God damn it.
I haven't exercised my sweet tooth yet.
You never will.
No, I am addicted to, well, not addicted, but it's just too delicious. I like chocolate. So let's have some chocolate off screen. And thank you for joining us for this dark but hopeful chapter with Movies with Friends. So long. Burn your Bibles.
Bye.